What's good, everybody? NFL insider Adam Schefter dropped a report yesterday basically breaking down a meeting that Mark Davis had with the entire Raiders coaching staff after our brutal loss to the Indianapolis Colts, which basically eliminated us from the playoffs. Now, it's a pretty lengthy report, but there was a portion of it that was very interesting that caught my eye, and I want to talk about it a little bit. I'm going to pick it up on the screen here. And basically, it reads: at a team meeting this week, Raiders coaches and staffers were told that they would not be blocked from looking for other jobs, but the organization wanted to be kept in the loop on any potential opportunities, according to league sources. And basically, the report continues on to say that some of the coaches that left that meeting felt like Antonio Pierce and Champ Kelly are not a lock for this job at all. And so, I want to give a big shout out to Mario Serrano. You made a comment. I saw it earlier this morning, basically, bringing this report to my attention, which I appreciated. And I responded to that and said, hey, I have seen it. There's actually some content creators that cover the Las Vegas Raiders. They jumped on earlier this morning and they started reporting on it. And so I watched it, I read the report, and I kind of looked at it and I said, man, I really don't know if this is something. It could be something. It could be nothing. I wasn't sure. So I wanted to take the majority of the day and kind of research it a little bit and break it down. And one of the things is I questioned is this just standard procedure, right? I don't know if owners just do this at the end of a situation like this. If they have an interim head coach, the end of the season is here. Now, it's strange that Mark Davis would do it after the Colts game. Maybe it's because we were eliminated from the playoffs, so there really isn't much to play for after that. So maybe that's the case. I don't know. But is this just standard procedure? So let me know in the comments down below. Have you heard of anything like this in other situations? Because, again, I researched it, couldn't find much. So let me know in the comments below. Now, one thing to keep in mind, I believe this was immediately after that meeting. Patrick Graham, our defensive coordinator, took the podium and he was answering some questions to the media like he always does. And I dropped a video on this just a couple days ago. So go check that out if you want to see the length of it. But Patrick Graham basically said a couple things that made me think, like, is this the last time we're going to see Patrick Graham? Does Patrick Graham know that there's a really good chance that this is going to be the last time that he is going to coach this defensive group? And so that's kind of what I took from it. And with that being said, I wanted to kind of come on and address this. And again, the next 3 points, the 3 things that I kind of took from this is all speculation. This has nothing to do with I've read something here, I heard something there. It's all speculation. Again, I've told you guys multiple times, I want to come on here, I want to speak on this and get you guys' reaction. I do the best I can to respond to the comments down below because I want to learn from you as much as I try to bring my knowledge your way as well. So, first thing, Mark Davis is a very genuine person. There's a ton of reports that come out that say he always is looking out for the best interests of his coaches, his players, and the people around him. So Mark Davis could very well just be doing this because he thinks it's the right thing to do. He thinks it's the right thing to do for his coaching staff and just allow them to take on an opportunity depending on what happens in the future. So that very well could be the case. Now, on the flip side, we've been through this before, right? Just a couple of years ago, we had Rich Bisaccia. And at the end of Rich Bisaccia's season, nothing like this came out. And there's so many NFL insiders that drop reports day in and day out like this one. And we heard nothing. So does this mean that Mark Davis does know that he's either going to do a very thorough head coaching search, or does he know that AP may not be the guy? Champ Kelly may not be the guy. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below whether you think that possibly is the case. And now, thirdly, does Mark Davis also know that this is not going to be a short process? Because when we had Rich Bisaccia in the interim head coaching position, and at the end of the season, we went to the first round of the playoffs, so that took us to mid-January. By the end of January 31st, it was announced that Josh McDaniels was our next head coach. And so that was only a couple weeks. So he really didn't take a long interview process with a lot of coaches. He basically did his due diligence, abided by the NFL rules when it comes to hiring on head coaches in the interviews, and he jumped on Josh McDaniels. And I think we all knew that that's who he wanted. That's who Mark Davis wanted. So does Mark Davis know that this is going to be a long, drawn out process? Now, if it is, there's another name that hasn't been talked about in the recent weeks, and that's Ben Johnson. If Mark Davis knows that there's a name that he's looking at that's possibly going into the playoffs and possibly getting to the Super Bowl, has a chance at the Super Bowl, he might be waiting on that guy as well. And so is Ben Johnson still a name that is really high on Mark Davis's list? It very well could be, because after Monday night, Jim Harbaugh is going to be basically available. The national championship's Monday night. Once that's over, Jim Harbaugh is going to be available. So who knows if that's going to be a quick process, but Mark Davis might have other names on his mind. And so I'm going to leave you guys with this. I think if we get a quick decision as to who the head coach is going to be, I think it's going to be AP. If it's a quick decision, I think Mark Davis, he's going to go through a quick interview process, just like he did with, Josh McDaniels. I think if he knows AP's the guy, we're going to hear an announcement very quickly. Now, if this ends up being a long, drawn out process, I think that means that Jim Harbaugh is much more in play, because Jim Harbaugh will most likely play his cards right. He's going to look at that Chargers job. He's going to look at that Bears job. He's going to possibly look at that Washington job if Ron Rivera is out of Washington. And then he's got the Raiders. So I think he's going to do his due diligence. I think Mark Davis, if he really likes Jim Harbaugh, he's going to let this play out the way it does. And Jim Harbaugh is going to negotiate a little bit. He might go back to Michigan and negotiate with them. So if this is a short process, I think AP will most likely get it. If it's a long drawn out, if we see this thing go past the end of January, possibly go past the Super Bowl, we might see another name pop up, or I think Jim Harbaugh might be the guy. So I appreciate you guys sticking with me. If you could, like the video, subscribe, turn on those notifications, watch out for my breakdown of our game against the Broncos. And I'm going to give you guys basically some pros and cons between Antonio Pierce and Jim Harbaugh after Monday night. And I'm going to give you my opinion on who I think should be the next head coach, because as of right now, those are the two hot names. So I appreciate you guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next video. I'm out.